Good evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us on another edition of the Nightmare Hunters podcast. With me in the studio tonight is Robbie Jed Rains. Unfortunately, Doc won't be with us tonight, and also Steve has to work, so you'll just have to put up with the two of us edgets tonight. And we are coming to you on our last podcast before the big convention in Ohio. This time tomorrow night, we will be in Ohio, hopefully tossing back a couple of Guinness together. And we'll get to hang out with some amazing folks that we met last year and hopefully meet a bunch of new folks. And we can't wait to see you guys there. So hopefully, we'll be seeing you guys in Ohio on Friday. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. But tonight we got a good show for you. We're going to be talking about the Ozarks Howler. We're going to explore some of the history of it, and we are going to talk about some more recent events, including some that just happened, like I said, very, very recently. But we'll get to that here in a minute. Before I jump into this, Robbie, how the hell you doing, brother?
Now that I got everything done and set up, I'm in the truck that's got to go in the truck tonight, and all I got left is my clothes and stuff. I feel a lot better. I'm always nervous about making sure I remember everything, but I went over
Yeah,
everything about 3 or 4 times. I think I'm good.
we we've got to pack the car tonight, and that's about it. How far of a drive is it for you?
Uh, well, I looked the other day and it said a little over 9 hours, and then when I checked again last night to get my mileage, it said 8 hours and 58 minutes. I think it just depending on time of day that you check with traffic and things like that. But so anywhere from 8.5 to 9, somewhere around in
We're
there.
we're losing an hour heading that direction. So what's technically 11 hours is probably going to be closer to 12. So if we leave here between 6 and 7 in the morning, like we're planning, we should be in there, hopefully around 6 or 7 tomorrow night.
Yeah, I should probably be there around 4, 5, somewhere around in there.
I'll I need to get a hold of Susan to get the address of where
I'll
where
I'll
oh
send it to
you
you. I got it.
yeah,
I'll send
send
it
it to
to
me
you.
because I want to put it directly into our navigation, our Google
In
Navigator,
the
so to
Googles.
speak. Yeah, consult the Googles. Man, we got a full house tonight.
Hillary, I know it's taking me through part of Ohio or part of that area, but I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, somewhere through that general area, I believe.
And we're going to go up to St. Louis, across Illinois and Indiana. The worst part of that drive is going to be Indianapolis. Last year, going and coming, Indianapolis sucked. Both times we went through, one was on a Sunday. Traffic came to a dead standstill. I mean, it was just horrible. So I may see if Annette can plot us a course around Indy. It might take us a little bit further out of the way, but I think it'd be worth it because last year when we went to the convention, we were stuck in traffic in Indy for almost an hour just heading there.
Well, see,
Because
last year I made the
we
mistake.
hit it, we hit Indianapolis right at rush hour.
Last year I made the mistake of I'm like, not that far. I'm gonna be okay. So I went to went to school that morning and did traffic and everything. And, you remember I didn't get there till what 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we didn't beat you by much though.
I was so. Hey AJ, hey Sherry.
Kevin says, "Da, is it taking you to Fort Wayne?" I don't know. I'd have to ask Annette. She does. She's the onboard navigation system. I just drive. But I've never. Well, I've run into some pretty bad traffic. I mean, I've been to Southern California a few times, but in recent history, the worst traffic I've encountered was in Indianapolis. Second closest was Lexington, Kentucky. Traffic was horrible there. But if we can find a way around Indianapolis, I would like to do it. Um, huh. Should we just jump right in this thing, or
Whatever you want to do, brother man.
well, Yeah, none of you guys are not familiar with the legend of the Ozark Howler. It's it's a story handed down by Native Americans and the earliest settlers that settled the Missouri River Valley as early as or very early 1800s. I believe some of the first settlements in Missouri were around 1803, somewhere around there. Uh, you know, basically shortly after the birth of this nation and the Revolutionary War ended, people were already starting to come west and settle in this area. In fact, Missouri was known as the Gateway of the West, thus the Gateway Arch. Uh, Wagon trains left Missouri from Kansas City and St. Louis. The infamous Oregon Trail all started here. The Santa Fe Trail started here. Uh, so yeah, Missouri was kind of a jumping point, but in the early 1800s, it was about as far west as anybody had gone until Lewis and Clark. But as settlers started moving into this area, they started hearing different stories about these things, and there's a half a dozen names for this thing. It's been known as the Ozarks Howler, but it was also called the Hoo Hoo, which always seems to crack up Miss Nahoma. Um, it's just the Fraternal Order of the Hoo Hoo is a secret society that's dedicated to it. If you find them, if you look them up today, it says that they're an invitation only group and you have to work in the forest industry. But look at their symbol. Their symbol is the Ozarks Howl. Um, in fact, Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson were both presidents of the Concatenated Order of the Hoover, uh, which to me just really, really kind of lends credence that there's more going on than just forestry workers. Um, uh, and in fact, even some of the earliest sightings date back to I think it was 1813 or 1803, one of the two. I'll look it up there in just a
Northwoods is on the board again.
second.
So you said
I didn't see it.
he said in my area there's something called the Carolina whiner. It's a horrible creature with a whining voice that's like nails on a chalkboard. Around this group is better known as my ex. So you saying your ex is around here, so I have to worry about that? And you're just now telling me this?
Well, the Ozark Howler have often been called the Ozark Black Howler, the Hoo Hoo, the Nightshade Bear, the Devil Cat, the Horned Panther, the Shaggy Howler, and the Ember-eyed Sentinel. Some believe it's like a guardian spirit of the woods. Daniel Boone actually claimed to have tracked one and shot at it in around 1810. He referenced in his journal stalking a strange creature and not knowing what it was, not being able to identify the type of creature. But then in 1816, allegedly near Cuba, Missouri, which is between Springfield and St. Louis, it's actually closer to St. Louis. That's near the edge of the Ozarks Plateau. He Daniel Boone allegedly shot and killed one, and had it stuffed and mounted for his collection. And after his death. It got donated to the Smithsonian and was never seen again. But but the Boone encounter is just the tip of the iceberg. That's why I chose it for the subject of one of the cryptids I've used in a few of my books. Robbie, what do you know about the howler?
Well, obviously, other than what I've learned from your books about it, the most famous thing that I knew about before I really started getting to it was the Daniel Boone thing. Because that's the only time I'd ever heard of it before I really started getting into cryptids was, and I can't remember if it was called Ozark's Howler, or if they just said something, or what I heard was something like a strange creature. I can't remember how it was described, but that to me has always been one of the more fascinating things because, Daniel Boone was not somebody that people said was a liar or one to stretch the truth or anything like that. So if he was saying that, I mean, that people usually took notice of that.
We
So
we drove right by his son's farm Daniel Boone's son's farm out there by Walnut Grove. It's between Walnut Grove and Ash Grove. It's a state monument. That farm site is still there.
Yeah. And when he was all over, because I mean, he was in they you remember the movie Sergeant York
Hmm.
with Gary Cooper? You know,
Yep.
there's a scene in that movie where they're walking through the woods and uh somebody carved on a tree. D. Boone killed the bar on the tree in whatever the year, like 1861 or whatever the year marker it was. And that was what the Valley of the Three Wolves, where
Hmm.
Sergeant York was from, and there was a lot of sightings of it back in those areas too, along with other cryptids. So you know, it's wild when you start thinking about, especially you know that, like I said, those people like that are just not ones that they weren't looking for the 15 minutes of fame like people today are. They saw
Yeah.
something, they told you about it. You know, they weren't looking for any kind of.
Yeah. They passed it on as something you might encounter, not as clickbait. But allegedly, his first encounter took place somewhere near the Missouri Arkansas border, which is pretty funny because one of the sightings we're going to be talking about here in modern day is just a few miles from the Arkansas border down by Branson, Missouri, near a little town called Forsyth. But what way Boone described it in his journal is a horned bear-like beast with a scream that quote unquote shook the trees. He also described it as glowing red eyes and cat-like agility. That'd be a big dang cat that we described as the size of a bear.
Yeah, and most drawings I've seen of it, it looks like a bear with ram's horns coming out of its head. But I have seen other ones that make it look more cat-like. But I think predominantly it's been more like a bear and the things that I've seen anyway.
The eyewitness reports I've heard, they described it as looking like a big black dog, like a mastiff, about the size of a grizzly bear.
It's a big mastiff.
That's a big dog obviously with horns coming out of
Yeah.
its head and glowing red eyes. They said that the eyes were like glowing coals or the gates of hell is what two people have described it as, like glowing coals out of a fire. Um, and we can jump straight to a more recent one. This one is ongoing. It's been cited numerous times. If Edie Testerman's in the house tonight, he'll know exactly where I'm talking about. There's a little town here in Missouri, not far from here, called Eldon, Missouri, and it's again one of those little bitty towns in Missouri that I like to refer to as a poke and plum town. There ain't much there. It's a little bitty town, but near Eldon is a place called Stark Caverns. And every year in October, they do tours of Stark Caverns as part of a Halloween thing to draw in tourists. But lots of people who have gone into this cave have reported hearing what they described as bone chilling howls echoing from the cave and echoing from deeper in the tunnels. Have described seeing red glowing eyes staring back at them from some of the dark passageways, and they also talk about cold spots and sudden electromagnetic interference in this cavern. A lot of people that visit this, that go through this cave, have reported feeling like they were being watched or hunted.
Well,
I need to go out there. I need to go out there. And the people that have seen it, guess how they described it? Bear-sized, feline-like agility, ram-like horns, glowing red eyes, and a scream that seems to be a blend of an elk bugle and a wolf howl.
no, that wouldn't be uh, disconcerting if you're out in the woods.
And with enough volume, you can hear it echoing through the valleys and the hollers.
Hmm.
Which makes you wonder if they use that cave, if they live in that cave, are they some sort of guardian?
Hmm.
Are they actually stalking us or protecting us from something else that is? As the Native Americans say, it's a forest guardian.
Mm. But big ass metal gate across a cage of a or a mouth of a cave would be.
Yeah, Smiddle Cave. That's
Hmm.
definitely to keep something big in. You can't tell me that's just to keep humans from going into a cave. We saw a cave just the other day. Eric was with me, and went down to not Moon Valley, went down to Joe Bald, and there's a cave just off the highway, and they don't want people in it. And you know what they put up? Chain link fence.
As you do.
Yeah, you want to keep people out, you put up chain link fence with a padlock gate with barbed wire on the top. That's all it took to keep people out of it. You don't need to build a 30 to 40-foot solid steel set in concrete, heavily locked and fortified to keep people from bothering a bat. Roxanne says, wasn't there a couple of cows get attacked by a howler this year? Yeah, and a few years ago, down by Joplin. This would have been 4 or 5 years ago. There was a report came in. They didn't know what it was. Now, of course, the local sheriff's department, in Jasper County, they said that it was a pack of dogs, probably mastiffs. Now, I've owned mastiffs. Mastiffs are about the laziest dogs on the planet. They're not going to go out and attack cattle. But this, they didn't just attack cattle. Whatever attacked this, it was an 1,800-pound limousine bull that had been mauled to death with deep lacerations in its haunches and in its face. The bull was killed by what the farmer described as the biggest damn cat he's ever seen.
Yeah, but you know how the Roman packs of mastiffs are. I
Oh,
mean, they're
man,
all over the place.
mastiffs, man. Yeah, people are constantly turning out those $3,500 puppies.
Yeah.
Roxanne says she remember
Mm.
that being reported. Yeah, they claimed that the Missouri Department of Conservation tried to say it was mountain lion, and mountain lions are tough, but mountain lion ain't gonna take on a 1,800-pound bull and win.
If mountain lions would take on a 1,800 pound bull, why would they run from their kill if a single grizzly tries to take it from them?
Yeah.
If they're bad enough to take on an 1,800 pound bull, they wouldn't back down from a grizzly.
Well, here's a thought for you. The description of the bull that was killed. They said the claw marks that was cut like 3 inches into the flesh on this thing's haunches, where something had grabbed it and tried to pull it down, were like 8 to 10 inches as they spanned out. They'd flexed out to 8 to 10 inches. That's not a mountain lion. Mountain lion's paws are nowhere near that big.
No,
That'd be a 900-pound mountain lion if it was,
that'd
and
be
they
more
just
like
don't get that big.
a mountain tiger.
Yeah, saber tooth.
Yeah.
The farmer that reported it told Missouri, actually argued with Missouri Department of Conservation because they kept saying it was just a mountain lion, rogue mountain lion. And he said, well, what I saw was massive. It was the biggest cat. If it was a cat, it was the biggest cat I'd ever seen. It was completely black and moved completely silently.
Mm.
So to me, that does not sound like any mountain lion I've ever heard of. I could see a mountain lion taking down a calf, a couple 100-pound
Oh
calf,
yeah,
but an
easy.
1,800-pound limousine bull. I might see the bull come back bloody, but the bull would come back. Cat might not have.
Toshi, the biggest male African male lions usually only top out at about 550. So that's way bigger than that. Now tigers
Happy
are up
birthday,
around
Kay
that
Bowers.
range. Sherry Radway wanted a description of the howler again. She must have missed it.
Okay. It has been described by some people as being cat-like, but everybody does agree on the size. Some people describe it as looking like a giant mastiff, but about the size of a grizzly bear, probably in the 800 to 900 pound range. Completely black with glowing red eyes and strange horns that protrude from the back of its skull straight back. But the horns aren't described as horns like you'd find on a deer or an elk. They're described as more like ram's horns. And of course, the name, it gets its name from the howl it makes, which is said to be blood curdling even from a distance. And I've heard some pretty weird calls out in the Mark Twain. So I can't say for sure what made the call, but at the time I was convinced it was Bigfoot. But now, the more I hear about these Ozark Howler stories, I just don't know. Whatever it was big, and it was at least a mile away, and it still was loud enough that we all heard it over the radio we were playing and the conversation. Everybody just froze, and we were starting to turn the radio off. I'm like, did you just freaking hear that? And everybody in deer camp was sleeping with their rifles that night.
Somebody just said that place in Arkansas where the man got killed by the bear is now closed. That recreation area.
Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing that happened in a few other places we can imagine we can name?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of
Mark
that,
listener, sounds like you could make a custom motorcycle to look like an Ozarks Howler with the horns being the handlebars. That would be freaking cool. A Howler motorcycle.
but speaking of places that got closed, has Drury Mancy ever been reopened, or is it still closed?
No, still closed.
Hmm.
I need to get a group down there, but I have been very leery to do it just with me and Noah. Um, I'm not expecting to run into anything, in the daytime, but those teenagers that were checking their pot plants ran into it in the daytime. So I would rather go down there with at least 4 or 5 people than I would.
Didn't the wildlife
feel
officers run into it during the daytime?
Yeah,
The ones that
it was
exchanged fire or
it was
exchange
broad
fire?
daylight when several Missouri Department of Conservation agents opened fire on what was described as very tall bipedal mountain lions.
That would have been a hell of a thing if they exchanged fire with them.
Yeah, if they were shooting back.
Yeah.
Roxanne says a work friend told me that it was his neighbor that were the cows were attacked. I would like to know exactly where that's at, Roxanne, so I could pinpoint it on the map, and maybe one of these nights take a group down there. And even if we can't get permission to go on the land, we could drive the back roads. There's nothing against driving. No law says we can't drive the back roads. And if we can find like even a conservation area down that way, perfect place to get out and set up the parabolic mic, and it'd be cool to get a howler recording. But speaking of that, the folks that were in Forsyth did. They caught audio and they caught trail cam footage. But here's the funny thing: when I went hunting for the audio, because I've heard it before, when I went hunting for the audio, the video was no longer on YouTube.
Well, that
I was gonna download, and I wish I'd have done it when I first saw it. But when I was gonna download the audio, I was gonna download the whole video and just play it for y'all. But it was a dead link. It was gone. And I searched YouTube, and the only Ozarks Howler howls I could find were stuff that people had made using some sort of AI, and they were clearly just fake as hell. But the one that I heard before, what was recorded from down by Forsyth, was pretty blood curdling. I mean, you heard that, you're like, God dang, I don't want to run into that while I'm trying to change a flat on the side of change a flat on the side of the road in the middle of the night. Don, you're right. Missouri does make you wonder. There's some weird crap going on here in Missouri. Harold Goodell says, is a howler reported in the other areas of the country? I don't know if there are similar legends, but the actual Ozarks howler has only, as far as I know, been sighted here in the Ozarks. That's where the Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo was founded. That's where the Mark Twain National Forest and the Ozark National Forest were founded. And allegedly, Teddy Roosevelt set aside the Ozark National Forest specifically as a preserve for the Ozarks howler. Roxanne says, I'll see if I can get a hold of her. Been retired since 2020. I'll call around to some friends that still work there and try to get a hold of her. Yeah, if you could get permission for us to go on that land, I would come down there with a group. We'd set up the recorders and get the cameras out and see if we can't, at least get something audio on tape. I would be pretty happy if I could just get the audio. But if we can get down there with Robbie's low light camera and Doc's thermal, if we could catch something on camera, that would be the stuff right there. Marcus says, "Hey Da, any updates from that woman who sent the video of the dog man stalking her?"
Maggie.
No,
Well,
yeah,
we
that was
had.
Maggie. Go ahead.
Did,
You go ahead, dude.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say we had. We either had it set up or had her and was gonna have them on to talk about it one show, didn't we?
We need to get them on. Toshi says, "Do you think the howl Robbie got on from the howl down the road from you would attract the howler?" I would be willing to try. I would be willing to bet that howl's going to bring something in. I can't say it's going to be the howler, but I guarantee you, if we get one of the, I've got a really good Bluetooth speaker with amazing sound quality, and you can't when you listen to it, it sounds like it's playing live. It doesn't sound like it's being recorded and being played over a cheap speaker. This is a good speaker. When I played that, I played it in the backyard because I got the neighbors that live to the north of me. They got like 6 dogs, and I'm not supposed to have that many here in town, but I don't care. They're dogs. But the problem is those dogs bark all the time, day and night. And late at night they'll take them in the house, but they let them back out around 4 a.m. and it just drive you batshit. Well, I went out there one night and played that over that speaker, and those dogs got quiet. I didn't hear a peep out of them for a good long while. Every dog in the neighborhood got quiet, and that's pretty rare around here. Kevin says he thinks she'll be in Ohio. Good. If she's
Yeah,
there,
Maggie's. The last time I talked to her, she said she was going to try to be there. Now I hadn't heard.
well, if she's there, maybe you and I can sit down and actually film an interview with her.
Yeah,
That would be pretty cool.
but that was the last plan I heard from her. Is that she was pretty sure she was going to make it, but I hadn't heard for sure if that is panned out or not. But
Yeah, I need to make sure I've got that howl recorded on my phone and bring that Bluetooth speaker, and maybe we'll play it in at
the
in
conference,
Ohio.
yep,
Yeah, play it at the conference.
we can definitely play it in some of our uh, talks.
Yeah. Uh, Already talked about the Stark Caverns. I do want to go up there because they every October they do what's called the Ozark Howler Ghost Walk. Because there have been so many Ozark Howler sightings in and around that cave. They actually take tours into that cave, and I really would like to do that. Let's see. Uh, in Earlier in this year, on the shores of Lake of the Ozarks, which is not far from Eldon, uh, uh, Steve Payton will tell you he knows right where this is at. But on the shores of Lake of the Ozarks, there have been sightings this year, and from 2015 to 2020, there were multiple sightings.
Miss
Uh,
Lene just sent you something, Da, from the Travel
uh,
Channel. You might want to
oh,
check
okay.
that out.
All right, thank you. I'll have to see if I can download the audio from it. Uh, but Anyway, the Ozark the Lake of the Ozarks sighting. Um, Allegedly, people in campgrounds up near Tantera have heard howls echoing across the lake late at night. There's a big campground up there right near Osage Beach. Pretty sure Steve knows where I'm talking about. Um, and there's some other campsites over on the other side of Bagnell Dam where people in 2015 reported seeing a horned panther crossing a trail just at dusk. The ground was hard packed and they didn't find any tracks. And in 2020, again over there on the other side past Bagnell Dam, multiple shoreline residents heard a scream echoing across the water. One described it as a woman's scream wrapped in thunder.
Hmm. Woman scream wrapped in thunder.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
an interesting combination.
that's not a description you hear every day.
And the people that did see it, the ones that saw it cross the trail, described it as being the size of a bear, moving like a cat with feline like agility. Said the fur was thick and shaggy and had a very long tail, and it had ram like horns or extremely pointed ears sticking back off the back of its head. Glowing red eyes, and it only saw it at dusk or after dark. Never saw it out during the day. And again, and made a scream that sounded like equal parts human, elk bugle, and wolf. And if you've ever heard an elk bugle, you know it's multi-toned. So I really hope I can get one of these howls on tape. I think it would be freaking awesome for us to be able to share that with y'all and to be able to take that to conventions and play it. And here's one that hits real close to home for me. I grew up on a farm, as you all know. I grew up on a farm north of Lebanon, Missouri. Lebanon's a pretty good sized town, about 15,000 people. But when I was a kid back in the 70s, it was considerably smaller. Now, the farm I grew up in, unfortunately, now is a housing development. All of that got developed. The town's expanded. We were only about 3 miles outside of town at the time. But now that whole area, that farm, the woods I used to roam and all that's housing development now, which really kind of makes me sad. But you get a little farther outside of Lebanon and you still get some pretty thick woods. If you go out 32 Highway, there's a little bitty town called Falcon. And it's, I want to say 10 to 12 miles outside of Lebanon. It's not super far. And just beyond Falcon is a little bitty town called Nebo. And you guys have heard me use the phrase poke and plum town. Well, that never applies anywhere better than it does with Nebo. Nebo is a city limit sign, a post office / trading post with a single gas pump, and a city limit sign. That's it. You can blink and be through Nebo. And my brother's got a farm out there. Well, he lives between Nebo and Falcon. And this sighting came from December of 2022 near Falcon, Missouri, which is an area I grew up running the woods, floating the rivers. Gasconade River runs out there. There's caves out there there's plenty of caves out there that we used to go to when I was part of that caving group. I know this area very well. Near Falcon, Missouri, on a rural farm, and there ain't nothing but rural farms out there. This says the location: rural farmland near Falcon, Missouri, deep in the Missouri Ozarks. Witnesses, a local farmer rising early around 4:30 a.m. noticed that his livestock was all huddled in the field near the fence line. So he grabs, those like ship's binoculars that you can see. They're green. You can see in the dark with them. Mm-hmm. He had a set of those. He had a set of low light binoculars. He starts scanning his field. He said, using the binoculars, he scanned the field and spotted a large black creature running along the fence line. He said the creature was taller than a Great Dane, very broad, muscular, with thick, shaggy fur, moved like a cat, but it had a dog-like head and snout. The tail was long and looked feline, and had long ears or possibly horns. Said the eyes were had an eerie reddish glow that gave him chills when he looked at it. He said he described just an absolute visceral fear when he saw it. Says his livestock had sensed it first, and the creature's presence just felt wrong, as if it didn't belong to the natural world. And this guy watched it for a good long time before it hopped the fence and went off into the trees. So it's not like this guy caught a glimpse of something by his fence line when he saw the livestock. He watched it for probably close to a minute through high magnification binoculars. He got a damn good look at it. And now, even when he puts his chickens up at night, he doesn't go without a double barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
That part really disturbs me, though. He said it had a visceral fear, like he felt like it just didn't belong to something. Didn't belong in this world. He said it didn't seem like a natural creature. That's the disturbing part to me. What do you think, Robbie?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we are probably on to something with them, maybe being some type of guardian of something. I don't, like with the Bigfoot, we can, obviously we both think that's just a flesh and blood animal. Even Dogman / werewolf, you can kind of reason it to be something kind of natural. in
Dr.
most
45,
instances.
it doesn't say which road. It said off 32. 32 runs out through Falcon and Nebo, so it's somewhere just off 32 between Falcon and Nebo. He says that his aunt lives out that way, had a place there. Anyway, sorry, Robbie, go ahead.
We can kind of reason out most of these cryptids as natural animals. That's one that you just it's kind of hard to put a natural spin on that one to me, anyway.
Hold on, I missed something. Uh,
Monica, Dogman, the term Dogman was not coined until the late '80s, early '90s. I mean, before that, Wolfman, Werewolf, those were all. So it could very well be the same thing. And that's just the word we had for it, because you go all the way back to when was the first writing of cynocephaly, DA?
dates back to the Romans and the Greeks.
Yeah, so I
So
mean,
at least 2,000 years of lore
yeah.
involving this type of creatures. Uh, Dr. 45 says Falcon's about 20 miles outside of Lebanon. I didn't realize it was quite 20 miles. I knew it was a little ways out, but I grew up floating the Gasconade and camping and hunting out in those areas. Uh, yeah, it just didn't, to me, it didn't seem like that far because usually we had music blasting or having a good time. It just didn't seem like that much of a drive. However, you get out past N Highway on 32, and that road gets pretty damn windy. Missouri Broad says, I looked at a property for sale in Falcon in 2022. Um, she said it gave me the creeps so bad I made my husband leave and got sick when I got to the car. What was it about the property that made you feel that way? Did you sense something? Was it just the location? Could you give us a little bit more about that? I'd like to hear more about that. Um, so Lone Queen says it seems like anything that is just way outside what we expect or know seems unreal. That's true. I know people that have described when they spotted Bigfoot that they just felt like they were it was a surreal experience because they didn't believe it even existed, and yet there it was. Richie, sorry, I was not feeling good. I was taking Nyquil and sleeping most of Monday. I was not feeling good. So that's why we didn't have a Monday, Monday mayhem. Just because I wasn't feeling up to it. Roxanne says, Missouri, I'm glad you got out of there. There's no telling what was lurking there. Yeah, if something makes you feel like that, listen. You'd be surprised how often your instincts are right and you just don't understand. Uh, and I've been to the location of this one. This happened, and I've got some friends that have a show called Horror Con. They've been on the show a few times. JT and Ryan, uh, they live in Rolla, and they just live a couple miles apart out on a rural road outside of Rolla. Rolla is not a huge town, but it's a college town. I mean, it's a decent sized town. It's not Springfield size, but it's probably 40,000-50,000 people. They live on outside of Rolla, a little ways. And this location happened on a trail about halfway between their houses. Uh, and there's the wooded trails near Rolla in the central Ozarks. Nighttime hiker returning from a solo hike described seeing a creature the size of a bear but moving with feline agility. It had shaggy black fur, a long tail, and a twisted horn structure, possibly ram-like or just malformed antlers. Its eyes glowed red, not from reflection, but an internal light like embers. The creature emitted a scream that echoed for miles, described as a low-pitched elk bugle mixed with a wolf's howl and a human shriek. The hiker froze, and the creature vanished in the trees without a sound. No rustling, no footfalls, just vanished. Um, I have a theory about what people refer to as self-illuminating eyes. Like people have described Bigfoot as having self-illuminating eyes. People have described Ozark Howler and other creatures. It's like its eyes glowed on its own. I've got a theory about that, and I talked about that at the Ozark Mountain Bigfoot conference. And I think a few of the other speakers kind of poo-pooed my idea, but I think it's valid. Um, but I don't go for the it's I don't go for the woo explanation right off the bat. I try to find a scientific explanation, and I think this scientific explanation makes more sense. Um, Tapetum lucidum exists in nocturnal animals. We see deer that have it. We see, dogs have it. Cats have it. We've seen plenty of examples of tapetum lucidum. And what tapetum lucidum is a layer on the back of the eye that absorbs and redirects any ambient light and reflects it back out of the eye to give them a second chance of seeing it as it passes through the lens. That increases the night vision among creatures that are very nocturnal. Now, I've often said, and even RPG Ryan Gombleski, even he agreed with me that I I might have been onto something, and he agreed. Like I said, he had been onto the same theory that Bigfoot and Dogman and possibly even the Ozarks Howler spend a great deal of time underground. Robbie and I talked about this idea. We think that the pops, the wood knocks, are possibly some form of echolocation using the tongue. And Ryan was thrilled to death when I started talking about that. But my point is that tapetum lucidum, that layer is thicker on animals that live in near darkness. That's why if you shine a small pin light in a cave frogs will light up like freaking diamonds. It's because they spend most of their time in utter darkness. Now, creatures like Bigfoot, Dogman, Ozark Howler, if they're spending a lot of time in caves, that means that their tapetum lucidum layer is going to be much thicker because they have to amplify every little bit of light. So even if you don't see an external light source, if you see something like this in the woods and its eyes seem to be glowing on their own, they have a super efficient version of tapetum lucidum, a much thicker layer. And what you're seeing is probably reflected starlight, possibly even moonlight. Now that's my theory. Y'all can agree, disagree, tell me I'm an idiot, whatever y'all think. But I think that is our most scientific explanation for the phenomenon of self-illuminating eyes. And here's something else that I just learned today. I was going to talk about this with Robbie before the show, but like I said, I just learned it today, and I forgot to mention it to him. Did you know that human beings are bioluminescent? We do produce light. Our skin produces light. It's at a wavelength that we can't see it. What if cryptids can? When you walk out in the woods, you're freaking glowing. For all intents and purposes, they see you coming because you're giving off bioluminescence.
Well, that's no different than a pit viper being able to sense the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's just a different form of that. I mean, that's something we can explain. It's just this is probably just something that we haven't been able to explain yet. And what's your favorite saying, DA, about magic and science?
Yeah, it's not my saying. I mean, I've read it a number of times, but it says any technology sufficiently advanced appears as magic to those who can't explain it. And just because most people don't even know what tapetum lucidum is, let alone have the ability to articulate what it is and how it works, they can't understand that these creatures' eyes are just simply gathering and reflecting every bit of available light so they can see better than we can in pitch darkness, probably see as well as we can in the daylight. Rice Krispie Cowgirl says, DA, as a biologist, that makes a lot of sense. And Rice Krispie, thank you. You're a biologist. Yeah, please feel free to nitpick this theory, because I'm a layman. I don't claim to be a biologist. I'm not a scientist, but I read a lot of these theories, and I've read a lot about tapetum lucidum. And I really truly believe that when we start talking about the Ozark Howler having self-illuminating eyes and Bigfoot and Dogman have self-illuminating eyes, I think it's because they spend a good deal of time underground and they have an extra thick layer of
And
tapetum lucidum. That's
and
my
right
theory.
there, Rice Krispie Cowgirl did get the ampullae of Lorenzini that sharks. That's how they sense the electrical charges in the water. Well, if this is just a land creature's version of that.
Yeah.
I mean
Doctor
that's a
Doctor
very
Sharp Dr. Sharp says light sensitive, light hurts them. Yeah, I think that's why we don't see them a lot during daylight. And when Robbie and I were blasting with some very powerful flashlights, they didn't just hide; they ducked for cover and stayed out of that light until we turned it off.
and that would probably explain the infrared reaction too. That probably hurts their eyes. If they can see in that spectrum, it probably hurts their eyes. Because as soon as Doc clicked on that IR, they started. I mean, that's the thermal don't lie. You know, he's looking at him fine on the thermal, and they were just standing there watching me and you. And as soon as he clicked that IR on, they started ducking for cover.
Hillary said, so it behoove one to cover as much skin as possible to lower the chances of being seen by cryptids. And yeah, that to me that would make a certain amount of sense. Um, unless it's bright enough that it can be seen through gaps in clothing. I don't know how bright it is. All I know is that humans are bioluminescent. It's just on a wavelength and a wavelength of light that our eyes cannot perceive. And that might also explain why some people claim they can see people's auras.
Very well could.
We might be onto a scientific explanation for being able to see auras and why it is so easy for certain creatures to spot us in the dark long before we're ever close. Lima Lima Mike says, before we used to go out on patrol in the cav, we would wagon wheel and sit in the dark for 30 minutes and get adjusted to sounds, let our night vision kick in. Exactly. And that's why they taught us in day night defense course, the DNDC courses that we all took in the Army. Yeah, every recruit had to go through them as part of your training. The DNDC taught us that when anything starts to kick off, close your non-firing eye.
Well, that's this it has been around longer than we know. The reason a lot of pirates wore patches over their eyes was not because they had eyes missing, is because when they would go raid ships at night, they would switch the patch to the other eye, and the eye that the patch was covering was already had their night vision already in. So, and then the eye that was light sensitive was covered, so they could see and have a better form of night vision than the people they were fighting.
Dr. 45 says, DA, any idea what wavelengths we radiate? That's a good question. I'm going to look that up. But first thing I want to do is Miss Lene sent me a sound bite. Let me see if I can get it to play. Hold on just a second. Talk amongst yourselves, as Doc would put it.
Discuss.
Let me move this over and I'm going to share some of this. Let me share this just so you guys can get a good look at it. Simply because I find it kind of interesting. Now, this comes from a radio station, 100 The Eagle, Tri-States Classic Rock. And they post stuff about weird sightings and stuff. Photo screams Ozark Howler spotted in Missouri. Stories passed down from generation to generation about a strange beast that haunts the woods of southern Missouri. But now there's some potential proof as a Missouri couple had an encounter with a strange creature. They captured photos and even recorded screams. Sharon and Steve Robinson of Forsyth, which is just down by Branson, recently told their story to the Travel Channel. Sharon says they were walking their bloodhound after dark when they heard a disturbing sound. The neighbor also heard what they'd heard. It sounded like a scream, and they recorded it. And there you can see the breakdown of the wavelength. And this is the image they snapped. And this is right here. You're looking at the image of something sticking out from behind that tree, and in this image, it's gone. So 2 pictures of the exact same tree, just a few seconds apart, and you can clearly see that whatever was watching them is pretty good sized, but this one looks light colored. It doesn't look like it's black, but then it's gone. Yeah, see how long this is, because I don't think this is just the howl. Yeah, this is the whole video, and I will get in
She
trouble
said
for
the
showing.
second clip she sent, she's got the howl in it.
Okay, the second clip doesn't look like it's coming up. I don't. It's not a link. Uh,
Or well, I'm sorry, I misread it. In the second link, sound is at the 4-minute mark.
um, the link you sent, Miss Lene, is when I tried to click it, it says the identifier is a unique code for a video in Duck Player, the built-in video player for the DuckDuckGo browser, and does not refer. Apparently, I don't have the DuckDuckGo browser, so it's not going to let me play it. Let me see if I can install DuckDuckGo.
And to answer your question, Arlen, that's true. My plate carrier that I've got from the police department has what you call an IR wash on it. Or like if you're going up somebody's house and they've got infrared cameras, it helps disperse that infrared light so you don't show up on it as well. And that's just a chemical wash or layer or whatever. I don't know how they do it, but it's made where it keeps you from being seen on infrared as easy. That would have been something if I'd have thought about that, because I had my plate carrier when Doc was down there with his nods and all that, and his infrared and all that stuff on. That'd have been cool to see how that showed up on that or didn't show up.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting this to install. Let me try this. Okay, I may have to uninstall this later, but I'm installing the DuckDuckGo browser completely, and hopefully it'll let me open that.
Larry Sharp been a member for 14 months.
Hey, Larry, thank you,
Congratulations.
man. And this is taking forever to install. Hey, give me a minute. Yeah, maybe we should look into getting that chemical wash to put on the gear
Yeah.
we take it and we use it when we go out.
Yeah. Okay, but I don't know if that's something that you can buy and put on yourself. I just know that that's the way we got them, and we were told that it had that on it. That just it was it stopped you from being, because there's been a lot of officers got shot when they were going up to a house, especially at night, and the bad guys having infrared cameras, and you glow on those infrared cameras. So whatever this is, it just keeps it from, it washes it out, and not as easy to see somebody.
Okay, I just looked up the bioluminescent thing. It says humans are bioluminescent, but their emitted light is 1,000 times too dim to see with the naked eye. The light has a spectrum with peaks around 630 to 670 nanometers in the red spectrum and 520 to 580 nanometers in the green spectrum. All other wavelengths in the visible light range are also emitted. So it's in the spectrum that we should be able to see. It's just too weak for us to be able to see it. Okay, I've got DuckDuckGo. Okay. No.
Yeah, Dr. 45. That's probably what it is. Because all of our body arm or our plate carriers, Chief got them from. Uh, they're basically military grade. All our SRT and special response uh, personnel, me as a tracker, our SRT team, we all have those. Kevin just sent me a message, said for me to bring it to Ohio. We'll figure it out because he's bringing his thermal and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll put my plate carrier. I've already got one of them in the car, but I'll make sure and get my one out of the back of my patrol car and put it in. We'll test against both of them and see what the difference is.
Even after installing the DuckDuckGo app, it still won't play that link. Dr. 45 says, good night vision should be able to see our glow. I wonder if that's what these glasses do. I wonder if they let us see into lower light spectrums.
Possibly because that's what I mean. That's all the 3D glasses are. Is it lets you see those different wavelengths coming off the TV and allows you to be able to see the images appear to come off the screen. It's just it's just a different light or frequency wave that you can't see with your naked eye, but you can see with those two lenses that make the corrections. So
Yeah, I couldn't get that to play, unfortunately. Um, K Power says maybe we should cover ourselves in mud, a la Terminator.
which and I can't remember the guy's name. I watched um a video where a guy did that. There's thousands of videos out there of people
Thank you,
testing
Roxanne.
all these movie myths and things like that. This guy actually tested the predator thing, and he covered himself in mud and fooled a very high dollar thermal viewing lens, just like Schwarzenegger did in Predator.
Um, Down in Arkansas, there's a state park called Devil's Den State Park. And it's very near what they call the Boston Mountains. It's a mountain range within the Ozark Highland Plateau. A lot of Bigfoot sightings in the Boston Mountains. But in the 1950s, a number of people reported seeing what they called the goat-faced guardian. It was a series of sightings described as a goat-like creature with a bear/wolf face and glowing red eyes. It was said to roam Devil's Den State Park and in the Boston Mountains. And in the 1970s, a truck driver pulled off the road somewhere here in the Ozarks, and saw a black cat-like creature with a long tail, shaggy fur, and red eyes. He described it as having a beard and a stocky build.
Ooh, Kevin's got a good point, or he said he don't know if it's true or not, but he heard if you take the red and blue lens from 3D glasses and stack them on top of each other and put them on a flashlight, it becomes an IR illuminator.
Missouri Brad says, I Googled Missouri, Forsyth, Missouri, Ozark Howler, and the first result is the video, and it let me play it. Thing is, I don't want to play the whole video. I just want to play the segment with the howl. I'm pretty sure I'd get hit with a copyright strike if I play the whole video because it was aired on the Travel Channel. Northwood's beard and stocky build might have been my ex. Arlen says some laundry detergents have bluing and brightens white. That have bluing that brightens white in some colors. This stuff will make you glow in the right light filters. Yeah, Lori Gibbs says Devil's Den is very famous. I've heard of a lot of Bigfoot sightings come out of Devil's Den. And from between 2005 and 2010, multiple sightings came out of the Boston Mountains, especially some trail cam footage that was captured by a family north of Van Buren, Arkansas. The captured images are of a large cat-like creature on a trail cam. Wildlife officials denied the presence of cougars, but locals insisted it was something else. In 2011, in Newton County, Arkansas, a nighttime camper reported a shriek and saw a shadowy figure dart between trees. No tracks were found. And in 2014, on Pump Station Road in Benton County, Arkansas, a scream echoed through the woods, followed by a sighting of a horned silhouette. Locals reported electromagnetic interference.
Hmm.
2015, Devil's Den State Park. Multiple hikers report hearing a howl and seeing a creature with glowing red eyes. This year marked 2015 marked a surge in Ozarks Howler sightings all across the Ozarks. And when we started comparing these, some of the things we noticed that seem to be common among Ozark Howler sightings is, of course, the glowing red eyes, described as being internal light, not reflected light, which I think, me personally, just my own opinion, I believe that it's probably the tapetum lucidum, just an extra thick layer. Other trait seems to be horns or extremely long ears, ram-like, malformed, or even goat-like. Shaggy black fur and a long tail. And some people describe it as a cat-dog hybrid with a build of a bear, with bear-like bulk. A shriek blending with a bugle, blending an elk bugle, a wolf howl, and human screams, and appears only at night, often near water or caves. If often near water or caves, that lends credence to that tapetum lucidum theory that they probably spend most of their daylight hours below ground. Harley, settle down, buddy. You about knocked everything over. Thunderbutt just ran into the bunch of stuff inside of my desk, about knocked it all down. Oh, that's why. I've got a area rug that has the old show logo on it, the old DAX Machina logo. He has bunched it up into a ball and is trying to make a bed out of it. He's
Oh
completely
man,
just wadded the whole thing up.
go get comfy, Dad.
Oh yeah. So me, making sure there were no parts of that rug sticking up, that it was all nice and smooth just a few minutes ago before the show, is a moot point, because Harley now has it completely wadded up and is laying down on it. You gonna get comfy, old man, or are you just gonna keep playing with it?
He said, "Thank you for my new blanket, Dad. I really appreciate it."
He's still not happy with it. He'll get up and walk around and paw it a little bit, then he'll lay down, he'll get up and move around a little bit more and paw it some more. But he's got it all wadded up. Goofy dog.
Uh, while
Uh,
you're while you're looking at that, you want me to explain that the channel handle thing right
oh
quick?
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so Jerry from Oline Cryptids, we were all talking, and he's looked into this. Why everybody's this is a YouTube thing. It's not a us thing. It's not a y'all thing. It's nothing that any of us have done or any of y'all have done. And I don't think it's going to be where you can change it back. But it's kind of a protection issue where we got people that get fake names and come in and Jeff Rowe, if he's still in the chat, can tell you some of the guys or a guy that came in and did some things that it wasn't supposed to. It's kind of helps protect against stuff like that. So you can't get a fake name and come in and start trolling channels and things like that. So pretty much just stuck with what you got now. So hopefully that explains a little bit more about the handles on the chat now.
Yeah,
It's going to
I
eventually
didn't
it's
know
going to be
why.
over all channels.
Uh, Lyle. Lyle says he's going to bed. Good night. It's at 4:30 a.m. It's coming early. Uh, Don says, Toshi, I think I saw a show years ago that somebody said they saw one with cubs. That would be cool. I'd like to see that video. That would be cool. Um, that seems. I think that's about all the most recent encounter stories that I've been able to dig up over the last week. But me personally, I still think the thicker layer of tapetum lucidum is a much more logical explanation for why, even in very little to no light, we still see luminescence of the light of the eye. And it really made me feel good that somebody with a background in biology, thinks my theory's got some weight, because I really try to come up with the most scientific explanations I can for why some of these things are happening. Our theory about the clear medulla, the clear hair shafts, uh, that's catching a lot of traction. With other researchers, Doug Hycheck from Monster Quest has talked about it, and I'm not taking credit for that. We didn't think that up, but I've
But we've
talked to
been
a
talking about
lot.
it for a long time,
We have
though.
been talking around it for the better part of 3 years. Uh, a lot of researchers we've talked to, um, Marty down in the Ocala, she's found clear hair shafts in the
Yep.
Ocala. What's their name from the other Florida? I can't remember her name. They found clear hair shafts. Doug Hycheck's found them. I know some
Hmm.
guys out in Oregon that have found them. I know several guys here in
Uh,
Missouri that have found hair samples
Shane,
with
Shane, and
Shane.
them, they found them. Um,
So, it's not just us. I think there's a lot of weight to the fact that, that these clear hair shafts help these things blend in.
I
Uh,
think we were one of the first channels that actually started talking about it, though.
and I also think it explains why a lot of pictures look fuzzy, because if these things are
Hmm.
moving through open light and that light is diffusing among those hair shafts, it's going to make any image you get of them look hazy.
Yep.
Plus, you couple that with the fact that somebody just got a massive adrenaline dump and they're probably moving and the creature's moving. Yeah, it's going to certainly add to why why it's very difficult to maintain a clear image or to capture a clear one. But heck, I think the best example of that we've talked about is the um, what do you call it? The Paul Freeman footage.
Hmm.
I think the Paul Freeman footage is a fantastic example of one of these things with adaptive camouflage. When it realizes he's seeing it, it stops in front of an evergreen tree and just disappears. And it didn't get beamed up by Scotty. It didn't go into another dimension. It didn't activate its cloaking device. Um, what it did was it stopped moving and and blended into the tree. And as soon as it realized that Freeman was still coming, it starts moving again, and instantly you can see it.
Yep.
So, again, folks, I'm not going to come out and say that I think anybody that reports anything that is what they call the woo. I'm not going to say that their sighting is. I'm not saying they're making it up. I'm not saying that they're wrong, because they were there, I wasn't. But what am saying is, in 40 years of doing this, actually more, because I started really digging into this when I was still just a little kid on the farm. So realistically, I've been reading everything I could find on the subject about Bigfoot and other cryptids for the last 50 years. So half a century of me digging into this, I have yet to see any one piece that I truly believed was them cloaking or going into another dimension. We've talked about backtracking. We've talked about them grabbing a branch and swinging around to throw you off the trail. We've talked about a lot of different methods that they could use to explain why tracks just stop in the middle of nowhere. But even the sad thing is, even when you show somebody, literally show them on an existing track how the pressure ridges are different, how when something is walking backwards in its track as opposed to walking forward, they go, no, that's not it. So you just can't logically talk to some people. And again, I'm not gonna call people out that believe in what they call the woo.
Yeah.
uh, i
Well,
just
Rice
I just
Krispie
think that there's
Cowgirl does it again. She said there's so much science that was called woo before it was studied. Just like we said, I mean, until you have something and you can study it, I mean,
exactly. And And like I said before, any technology sufficiently advanced is considered magic by those who don't understand it. And the same applies to anything in the animal kingdom. I mean, hell, I've quoted this example before. The Vikings believed that the aurora borealis, which we know to be electromagnetic radiation interacting with our atmosphere, we know what it is. They didn't, and they thought that it was the light of the Bifrost Bridge reflecting off the armor of the Valkyries when they were choosing those who had fallen in battle. That is a wicked cool explanation, 100% wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, just take birds migrating south for the winter. How do they know where to go? How do salmons going upstream to spawn know how to get back to exactly where they were?
To the exact river, to the
Yeah.
exact spot.
How do they know how to do that? We don't understand that, but it's not magic. There's something that they, whether it be like I've heard theories that it's the Earth's magnetic field that birds use to navigate or circumnavigate the Earth. Maybe I don't know, but that's one of those things that we don't think it's magic.
We know it's not magic. We know they do it somehow.
Yeah.
We just can't explain how yet.
Yeah.
Dr. 45, Dr. Sharp says, could the hair shafts have multiple erector pili that can make the clear hair reflect certain colors like a prism? It very well could. But from the gist of the way I was given to understand how the process works is much like the newest generations of ghillie suits among all the pieces of fabric that they're now like adding in multiple pieces of fiber optic, because that fiber optic behaves just like the clear hair shaft. Yeah, Hiller says it's sorcery. That's right. Crom. Camo Dad says whales. Yeah, whales can navigate 100%, just with pinpoint accuracy. Pyromedic says they took those 4 dams out on the west coast, and the salmon are running up to the riverheads already. It's like they had a genetic memory of where to go back to.
But it's not magic. So, right. Why is that so many people's first conclusion that they jump to?
Thank you for the super chat, Ronald. I thought it was a comment. It's just describing the emoji. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Mike, there we go. Mike says, it's just the light spectrum is it is. We can't see the spectrum. They can use it at all. We don't exactly. It's just them having the natural ability to do things we can't. Wolves can see spectrums we can't see. Cats see way more of the visible spectrum than we see. And it's not magic. It's not ultra science. It's just the way they evolved. Deer. I've seen deer react to the IR pulse on trail cams. They've turned and look right at that camera.
Naoma, look at what she quoted.
Where is it? I missed it.
It maketh fire from its fingertips. What doth Bic mean? This is my boomstick.
You primitive screwheads.
Great quote, Naoma.
Absolutely. Morris, it's the power of our creator. You've made them where they can survive. Exactly. It's just how their physiology is. And in order for them to survive, they've had to survive in places where we weren't. So a lot of people say, I've been going in the woods my whole life. I've never seen a Bigfoot. Well, I know people that have been swimming in the ocean their whole life and never seen a shark. Just because, where you hunt you routinely year after year, just because you're there when they're not, doesn't mean they're not there. What is it that Nance says all the time? Absence of proof is not proof of absence.
Nope.
Kay Bauer says, can you imagine dropping off a cell phone playing playlist audio in the times of the Indians, they'd think it was magic too. Hell, everyone would have thought it was magic. Like, what the hell is this?
Brian said there are plenty of video evidence of chimps reacting to trail cams as well.
Animals that, especially animals that are more nocturnal than we are, their eyesight is more highly developed than ours. Cats are nocturnal predators, so it doesn't surprise me that they can see wavelengths we can't. Um, so after I learned today, and it was just earlier today, I was reading some articles from one of the scientific journals that I read, and they said that recent discovery is that humans do create bioluminescence, and I'm like, no. And then I started reading the article, and the more I read about it, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then I said, well, what if that bioluminescence gives us away in total dark or near dark situations? And I even went so far as to have a conversation with Copilot, which is one of the AI programs I use. And well, here, I'll just read you what I said. I'd already read the article about human bioluminescence, and so I asked Copilot. I said, "Is it true that humans possess bioluminescence, but we can't see it?" And it responded with, "Well, here, I'll just share the screen so you guys can read along with me." Um, and it says, "Yes, it's true. Humans do emit a faint form of bioluminescence, but it's far too dim for our eyes to detect." It says, what causes human bioluminescence? The subtle glow is a byproduct of our metabolism. As our cells process energy, they produce reactive oxygen species, ROS. These ROS interact with the lipids and proteins, triggering chemical reactions that release photons, tiny particles of light. In a 2009 study, Japanese researchers used ultra sensitive cameras in a light tight room to monitor volunteers. They found that the body emits visible light, not infrared heat. The glow fluctuates through the day, peaking in late afternoon, and the brightest areas were the forehead, cheeks, and neck. Why we can't see it? The intensity of the light is about 1,000 times weaker than the threshold of human vision. So while we technically glow, it's invisible without specialized equipment. Future potential. Researchers believe the glow could be linked to metabolic activity and biological rhythms. In the future, it might even help detect medical conditions by scanning changes of light emission. So, yes, next time someone says you're glowing, science says they might be more right than they know. Want to explore how this phenomenon cares to bioluminescence and other species. And this is where it goes off the rails. I said, okay, could that explain why cryptids like Bigfoot seem to know when we're coming? And it says that's a fascinating leap, DA, and one that taps directly into your mythic technical sweet spot. While there's no scientific consensus linking bioluminescence to cryptid awareness, the idea opens a rich speculative vein. Let's break it down. Human bioluminescence as a cryptid detection cue. Yes, we glow, but our bioluminescence is about 1,000 times too faint for human eyes. Could cryptids see it? If a creature like Bigfoot had enhanced low light vision or photoreceptors turned to ultra low light levels, if it was subterranean, for example, like some deep sea organisms or nocturnal predators, it's plausible they could detect this glow. Implication: our presence might be visible to them long before they even hear a twig snap. Other senses that might tip them off: infrasound detection, olfactory sensitivity, electromagnetic sensitivity. And then it talks about different things that how tracking countermeasures, the glow of the unseen, and cryptid lore. But the highlight was when the the and this is the cool thing about Copilot is when I mention cryptid stuff, it doesn't bat an eye. It just takes it and goes with it. Um, should we show them what we found with that?
Sure, I think they'd be interested in it.
Okay, so um, I'm gonna bring something up. You have to bear with me for just a second. All right. No, that's not it.
Yeah, Brian, that's what we were talking about earlier. About that may explain why some people say they can see your aura.
Yeah. is that? God dang it. I know I didn't delete it. Hold on just a second. I got to find it.
That would sure explain the movie The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
Bruce Leroy got the golden glow.
Where did I put?
He's looking for that just in case y'all didn't see the post at first. Before we went on the air, we were 45 away from 10K. So, any of y'all out there who aren't subscribed, subscribe. We're 45 away.
I'm going to check now, see if it's. We're 44 away.
We got one more, so we're 44 away. Come on. Let's get this going. We can have a big giveaway next week.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
Loved it, Rice Krispie Cowgirl. That was a great movie.
I need to find the other image, the first one. I know right where that's at, though. So, there. There. There.
Some dumb goy.
Let me. Okay. Let me move this over so I can start breaking these up. Okay. Now, you guys have seen us talk about these images before, but so there's been kind of a new development in this. Let me bring this up. This is an image that I took with my DSLR camera from the balcony of the cabin my wife and I stayed at a couple of years back near Gatlinburg. And this image I shot and didn't think a whole lot of it at the time, but I was mainly just playing with the telephoto lens on the camera. This was just 20, 30 yards off the balcony of our cabin, and I didn't think anything about it until I was looking at these pictures quite a while later. And I looked at this image and I thought, I think I see something right about here. And if I can kind of zoom it in, you should be able to kind of start seeing it. See the eye ridge, the eye, what looks like the other eye, part of a nose. Please let me know if you guys have seen this. Yeah, just a guy I'm forbidden to do tongue pops with a net around.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know what I am that I'm not just seeing things. And here's another, just taking a few seconds later. Again, this was at a slightly different angle, so I have to move it up. But again, you can see almost what looks like a gorilla looking back at me.
Yep. Rice Krispie Cowgirl sees something. Just a guy says gorilla. I see a sagittal crest in there, sort of.
Okay, so I took this image and I fed it to Copilot. And I didn't say what I thought it was. I just said, I think there's an animal underneath this tree. And I can't tell what it is. Can you analyze the image and tell me what you think it is? And without missing a beat, after about 2 minutes of examining the image, Copilot just simply says, we think it's a gugway. And I said, can you enhance the image? And this is what it pulled out. without me prompting it. I said, to me, it looks like there's some sort of animal in the background of this image underneath that tree branch. Copilot
Exactly.
pulled
Okay.
it out on
What the
its
what?
own. Yeah, I gave it no prompting about any kind of cryptid. I asked it what kind of animal was that it could find, it buried in that blurry image, because it was underneath the foreground image of the tree, and everything was crystal clear. It's a good lens on that camera, but what was underneath of it and in the back, I hadn't focused on.
Yes, baby Hulk. Copilot on its own, unprompted, said Gugway.
Yes, without me giving it any cryptid prompt whatsoever, I said animal. That was all I asked it. What type of animal is in the background in this image? It was blurry in the background of this image, and after about 2 minutes, it said, it's possible. We think it said it thinks it's possibly a gugway, and I had not mentioned gugway. I hadn't mentioned Bigfoot. I had mentioned no cryptids whatsoever. And I said, can you analyze the image and enhance it and show me what you're seeing? And this is the image it gave me. And again, I'm not saying this is absolutely 100% hard gospel truth. This was done by an AI. No, I'm not presenting this as absolute proof that we had a Bigfoot outside our cabin or anything like that. I'm saying that the AI immediately said Gugway, and this is the image it pulled out of that blurry image. Roxanne says, are Gugway known to have these ears? I've heard them described as having ears like that, not having typical ears like a Bigfoot. That in some cases, I've even heard them say that they look like what the Lakota call them, the bear man, like it's almost like a humanoid bear as opposed to a humanoid primate. And then others have described it as looking very much like a mandrill or a baboon. But this unprompted Copilot AI, the Microsoft AI, pulled this out of that image. Just a guy. That's a very good point. I have discussed other cryptid stuff and used Copilot for enhancing images. But at that point, I don't think I'd ever mentioned Gugway. I did after it brought it up, because then I did something different. Oh, awesome! Thank you, guys.
Yep, thanks. So you want to show them the other one?
Yeah. So then, after it started unprompted talking to me about Gugway, well, then I did something a little different. I went in and I took images of the Beast of Seven Shoots and put them in to Copilot to examine. Now let me find those. Now, okay. I need to move these over to a different folder, so when I click through them, it doesn't.
Well,
doesn't just click to other images by mistake.
just a guy. That's a very good point, like he said. But to that point, I use ChatGPT for a lot of my research for my books, and when I ask it the same questions on the picture, ChatGPT was like, yeah, that's probably a raccoon, or it's probably it was not. It didn't say anything about that, and I had plenty of other tabs opened up about my other books. So I'm not arguing it to say that that's, but I'm just saying it's still very interesting that it pulled that word up.
This is the infamous photo of the Beast of Seven Shoots. I put this image into Copilot and I said, there is something in this image. Can you clean it up, analyze it, and give me a clearer image? And this is what it initially spit out. And then I pointed out, I said, well, some people claim that the creature might have been holding a small animal. And then it spit this out. And then this.
Thank you, Miss Lene.
What'd she say?
This channel is for entertainment purposes only.
Dang right. K. Bauer says, DA, that's why you ask AI about cryptid stuff and give it prompts that if it wants to say yes but can't, it has to use another prompted word. Well, I was pretty vague with what I said. I at no point I said Gugway. Did I say anything like that? I said this is an image that people believe they captured some sort of animal in this image, and then I told it about the possibility of it holding a small dog. But each time when I altered the prompt, and this one is the one that I find the most interesting because, well, there's the side by side. And this is a crude side by side. But if you look, I can almost see why it's talking about a smaller one.
If you look at the what would be the left shoulder, you can almost see that there's another head there. Look, put your cursor on the left where what would be its left shoulder, DA. Up, no, if it's looking at you. So there you go, right there. Now, until we started saw that picture that AI generated, and we looked at it again, like, well, son of a gun, that does look like a younger one that it might be holding, and the younger one's holding the dog.
Yeah, because if the big creature is holding the dog, that arm looks awful small. Well, what do you think? Again, got to take this with a grain of salt. We're not presenting this as any kind of proof. This is just putting some known images into an AI program and prompting it only with very vague associations and asking it to analyze the image and tell us what it sees. And when I said a small animal, possibly a dog, I said nothing about it being a poodle, which is supposedly what it was. And it spit out this image right here with clearly what is some kind of poodle.
I don't even think you said dog at first. I think you just said small
I
animal.
I just said small animal. I think you're right.
Yeah, because I was watching you do that live. We was doing it backstage.
Went
from
from
that show
this,
we were on.
with very little prompting to this, followed by that, followed by that. Northwood says, DA, have you tried Patty's face with that? No, I have not. That's a good idea.
But we did do one other image.
Yes, we did. And this is where it starts getting borderline creepy.
Creepy.
Okay. Yeah, creepy-er. Okay, so you guys, I know, if you got, unless you're new to the channel, you guys,
if you've been here a minute, you know this.
If you've been here any time at all, you know about what we call the Joe Bald breakdown video, where we isolated stills from the video we shot in Joe Bald, and in this one you can see something looking out behind that tree. You can literally see it. I've been back to that exact tree and measured it, and it's about 9.5 feet up. Now this is a further enhance, and to me, it looks like a wolf head, and then you can see the claws on the tree. And again, measured the spot to between 9 and 9.5 feet up. So then we fed these images to Copilot. Those are different. That's the first thing it spit out. And I said, well, this was a bit prompting. A bit of prompting, and I did say, to me, it looked more like it had dog-like ears and a dog-like nose, and then it put this out.
Do 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 do.
So, what do y'all think of that? Again, take it with a grain of salt. This is an AI, but I'm quickly becoming convinced that I should not rule out using AI to help corroborate evidence.
Toshi, you want to know what's creepier than that? We've all stood right there at that tree.
Yes, we
Right
have.
right where that thing's.
Knightley says, DA, were you on the north or south end of the park? We were right up by the lake near the old boat ramp. This is the little parking area right off the old boat ramp. Jeez, that's not creepy at all. What's up, Sentinel?
Sentinel!
6 killer in the house.
Gunny, Sentinel, 6 killer. All of them.
So, what do you guys think? I mean, again, I'm not going to say this is definitive proof or anything like that. But this is what AI got after analyzing these images. And we were very careful about what prompting we gave the AI.
No, that's not where Doc saw the Bigfoot on the night vision.
No, that was down in Moon Valley.
And
unfortunately, the night vision Doc had at the time we were unable to get stills from. But the one he bought now is capable of taking stills and copying video. When Doc and Robbie get a chance to get up here, hopefully soon, we're going back down to Moon Valley. We're going to Smiddle Cave. We're going up on Table Rock Lake in 3 or 4 places. And then we're going down to Drury Mincy.
I mean, I'm with you, DA. I'm not saying that's like end all be all. But
I just find it very interesting. I'm not presenting it as definitive evidence. I just find it very interesting that AI came up with the same thing we were thinking without us prompting it.
I don't know that we were stalked by a Wendigo in Moon Valley. I hope we weren't.
I don't think it was a Wendigo, but it was certainly weird. But again, I wouldn't rule it out. Weirder shit has happened in Moon Valley. If we could get Doc and Robbie up here to go out here, especially to Drury Mincy, Sentinel, I wish you could be here too, because Drury Mincy, we are going to take a group in, and we're all going to be well armed. Hell yeah, Sentinel! You got a standing invitation, brother. You get out here, you're in like Flynn, brother. We want you going with us.
Yep. We need the whole Nightmare Hunters crew.
That's right.
Doc, Jed, Declan, 6 killer.
Just got to get him one of them hats. Well, Sentinel, I've already given Doc and Robbie and Steve one of these, so I guess this one's yours. So I've got one on my hat. So I got you a U.S. Marshal badge. So we get you one of those hats, and 6 Killer Miller can be going out with the wild bunch. But just understanding the images we put in that we've all already talked about numerous times about what we believed that to be a dog man that night we've encountered at Joe Bald. But just looking at what the AI spit out, again, we were very careful about the prompts we gave it. You can still see it sticking out. And this is what it's saying was sticking out. So Robert Miller says, when is this trip? Brother, I'll text you. We gotta work out time when we can get Doc and Robbie here. But we hopefully can do it before long. But these are the images that we took from the Joe Bald image that Steve and I filmed. God, it's pushing 10 years ago now. I was still working at the hospital when we shot these. So these were taken in 2017, 2018, somewhere in that area. Would have been about October, early November, 2017, 2018. I was, like I said, I was still at the hospital. I was at the hospital till 2020 when my back finally went out. So yeah, we're looking at 6, 7, 8 years now, 8 years ago now, when these were taken, and it was, it's really what fueled my obsession with Joe Bald. And Robbie and I have had encounters down there. Me and Noah have found weird crap down there. It's just a very bizarre place. And for AI to basically corroborate what we believe we saw without us prompting it, because I didn't lead it into this. I just said, there's something behind this tree. Can you analyze the image and tell me what you believe, what you think it is? And I was half expecting it to give me a raccoon or, even like a wolf or something like that. I was not prepared for what the AI spit out.
It's getting towards the top of the hour already.
Holy moly. Well, I can't go over tonight. I have got to start getting everything ready to pack out to go to the show in the morning.
And I got to get into bed so I can get up and head out early myself.
But I just think that considering using AI to analyze images that we think we see something in can help us rule out the possibility of pareidolia. But we've also got to be careful what words we use. There's a Bigfoot in this image. Can you bring it out for me? You're leading it there, so that gives us a lot of opportunity for what we used to call the red circle pictures, for them to superimpose something in there that's not there. But these were clearly there. We just weren't 100% sure what they were, and for AI to back it and to give us these suggestions unprompted, to me it says that we're not just seeing a shape, we're not just seeing pareidolia, that it's seeing the same shapes. Kevin says, bring a coat, it's been cold up here. Oh, I'm definitely bringing a coat. Probably going to have a coat and a hoodie. But again, folks, we talked about the Ozark Howler tonight. We talked about possible explanations for the eye shine. We talked about human bioluminescence. We covered some really good points tonight. And again, we don't present these as us knowing all the facts, because we don't. These are our theories. You can choose to agree with them, disagree with them, come with a theory of your own. That's the beauty of all this, because until it's proven to science and we have everything established for a fact, all we have is theory. There are no experts in this field, and don't let anybody convince you otherwise. But something that Robbie and I and Doc and Steve, we've all tried to do with this is every time we find some piece of evidence, the first thing we do is try to debunk it ourselves. And then we tell you what we think it is based on our experiences. That doesn't mean that we're right. It doesn't mean that we know everything. It doesn't mean that we have all the answers, but it does mean that we are trying to find as scientific and logical explanations to these phenomena as we possibly can. Because just because science hasn't cataloged it yet doesn't mean it's mysticism or dimensional transport or anything like that. I've said for a long time now, and Robbie agrees with me, for the most part, you don't need to look beyond existing fossil records and in the animal kingdom to explain some of these behaviors. And a lot of people get really pissed off when you say Bigfoot, Bigfoot's a great ape. Well, no, it's a person. Here's the thing, though, and you can Google this yourselves. Humans are a part of the great apes. We are a part of the great apes. We are a great ape. Hominids, however, differ from the great apes a bit, mainly because our intelligence and tool use, which may not be as big a bridge as we thought before, because of the discovery of things like the billy ape and observations with chimps using tools and gorillas using tools. But the billy ape is really the fly in the ointment. If for hundreds of years of us exploring the Congo basin, it went undiscovered by Western science, but the locals knew all about it, about 6 foot tall bipedal chimps who spend most of their time walking upright, that make weapons, that make tools, that make war on other clans of the billy ape, hunt lions, and have been known to kill and eat villagers. If those can exist when Western science forever said no, 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 that doesn't exist, until suddenly National Geographic caught lots and lots of footage of these things and undeniable proof, and now they're known to exist. They're classified, and they've been classified by science. You can look them up. It's called the billy ape, not like Billy Bob down the road, but Bili, because that is the Billy region of the Congo is where they were found. So they're known as the billy ape. Um, Anybody can Google that and look it up. It's not something we're pulling out of our butts. We're not blowing smoke up your kilt, as Doc likes to say. The billy ape's real. And if a 6 foot aggressive thinking tool using bipedal ape could go unnoticed in an area that we've been exploring for close to 200 years, what could go unnoticed in the vast stretches of unused wilderness still available in North America?
88 million acres.
And that's just national parks. That's not counting public use areas, wildlife management areas, state parks, preserves. It's not counting any of that. When you add in Bureau of Land Management areas, reservations, undeveloped lands, it
1 billion.
yeah, it adds up to well over a billion with a B, billion acres of land that we're still not allowed total access to. There is far more wilderness land still left in the United States than people realize, because most people spend their lives living in the cities, and the most wilderness they see is the park. They fail to understand that you can take 20 steps off of any given trail in the Mark Twain, and if you don't keep your wits about you, you might not find your way back. And that's just the Mark Twain. There are places we just don't go. Or if we do go, it's in such small numbers that we're not seeing the whole picture. Just food for thought, folks. The next time you're walking along a country road or walking through a path and you see glowing eyes looking back at you from the woods, you're not alone. And just because you don't believe in cryptids doesn't make them any less real. You can choose to not believe all you want, but it's just like Carl Kolchak said. It's one of my favorite quotes, and I'll throw that sucker up on the screen because I love this quote, and I will use it till my dying day. The quote says, "Judge for yourself its believability, and then try to tell yourself wherever you may be, it couldn't happen here. And folks, considering the thousands upon thousands of cryptid sightings that are reported all across the globe, you we can't bury our head in the sand and say these things don't exist. Because even if one of them, only one, was the truth, and again, I'm not saying that. I'm saying even if only one was true, they're out there. And Robbie and I can both tell you eyewitness testimony should carry a lot more weight than it does because eyewitness testimony has sent men to prison for life. And
Taking
suddenly,
people's lives.
yeah, and suddenly, when it comes to cryptids, eyewitness testimony is suddenly out the window. It's there. There's something out there, folks, and we'd be foolish to just stick our head in the sands and pretend it's not there. But I want to thank you folks for hanging out with us. We've had an awesome time tonight. I hope we've given you plenty of food for thought. If you've got theories, ideas of your own, if you've had a sighting or an encounter and you want to tell us about it, please reach out to us at DARoberts at DARoberts.net. And let us know about the details of your sighting. If you'd like us to read the encounter on the air, we'd be happy to. And we who knows, we might even contact you and see about getting you to come on the show itself and tell your encounter. So, folks, just remember, like Nance says, absence of proof is not proof of absence. Robbie, you got anything else you want to add, brother?
I just anybody that's gonna be in Ohio, be safe on your travels. We hope to see y'all there, or as many of you as can be. Be sure to check out our books. I got book 6 in edits with DA right now, so that should be coming out. I'm working on book 7, which is totally unrelated for now with everything else. DA still got Dark Frontiers that he's finishing up. So, but go check out our other books. I guess that's about it. If you, like I said, hopefully we'll see you this weekend.
It'd be awesome to see you guys in Ohio if you can make it. We could sit down and share stories, and who knows, maybe even grab a beer. It would be awesome to be able to hang out and talk to y'all.
And be watching because we're going to try to go live a couple of times from the conference. I think DA was even going to try to go live and video some of the tracking stuff, tracking classes. We can go live during some of our talks. So just be watching the groups because we'll try to. And a lot of it's going to depend on how good a cell service we have there. We don't know. We had pretty decent cell service last time, but we're in a different place this time. So
keep our fingers crossed we got good service.
Yeah, if we do, we'll try to go live a couple times. And, for y'all, those of you who can't be there, so just be watching for that.
And folks, don't forget to check out all of our amazing affiliates. Check out the good folks over at darkangelmedical.com. Use discount code cryptid20 for 20% off your purchase because a good med kit beats hopes and prayers. The time chooses you, as Doc says. Check out the good folks over there at darkangelmedical.com. And if you're there at the convention, you'll see a couple of them because I should have a couple on me. Check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical, purveyors of awesome cutlery and other cool swag. Check out Scallywag Tactical for all your cutlery needs and let them know we sent you. Use discount code DARoberts10 for 10% off your entire order. And last but not least, check out our newest affiliate, which is sigwolarms.com. If you want a codename Wild Hunt or a Dark Frontiers Pew Pew in any variety, shape, or form, or if you're looking to get any accessories, including whisper pickles and optics, including ammunition, which I just got a really good deal on 9mm hollow point. Got 200 rounds of 9mm hollow point for $53. I'm telling you, you can't beat that deal with a stick. And I'm very excited to get it, and when I get paid on the first of the month, I'm going to get some more. But check out the good folks over at sigwolarms.com. Reach out to them. Check out the Codys. 2 guys work there named Cody. So you got two different Codys. So tell the Codys we sent you and use discount code Bigfoot5 for 5% off your order. and that does stack on accessories as well as firearms. So again, reach out, check them out, let them know we sent you. And folks, we are very excited about this convention this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a bit of a drive, but I think it's going to be worth it. And we will hopefully see you, as many of you there as can make it. And again, watch for the lives, because we're gonna do at least a couple from there, so you can see us walking around and enjoying the convention. So folks, y'all be safe. We will not have a show on Saturday, not the regular show, but we will try to do those lives if the internet is strong enough. And just kind of watch for those. They may pop up without a whole lot of warning, but we will try to give you as much leeway as we can before we go live. And we would love to have you guys in the chat then. So folks, again, we really hope to see you guys there. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we are less than 50 away from hitting 10K, and I am super excited about hitting that 10,000 mark, because it's really going to put us farther into the YouTube algorithm, and I think it's going to mean great things for the channel and for all of us here in the Nightmare Hunter Nation. So thank you guys for all the super chats, all the channel members. Big shout out to the mods. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. And we're going to close her out.
Thank you, Don. We both hope that we do too.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, I definitely hope so. We could sure use it this month. We're going to close her out with a toast. And Robbie, if you don't mind, I'll let you take us out with the toast. Let me bring her up here.
All right.
And where's that? There it is. And we'll close her out, and hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Don't matter what you're drinking, just raise a glass with us. This is from the old Irish drinking song, The Parting Glass. So, like I said, doesn't matter what it is, just raise a glass with us. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Good night, everybody. Salam Jamah. Hope to see you this weekend. If not, we'll see you back here on Monday for Monday Night Mayhem.
Slanja. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Plains, the winds are howling, saloon doors swinging, shadows growling. Three lawmen stand tough as rawhide. Yeah, Doc and DA, nothing can abide. Whiskey shots and poker faces, staring down the darkest spaces in this town where legends roam. These boys bring justice, sending evil home. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Jed's a howler, claws of steel. Doc's a biter, makes the devil real. But DA's a shifty, want a shape-shifting soul. Can turn to anything, takes any form, takes control. Tonight the chupacabras come to town, sucking the life from all around. But these lawmen, they ain't afraid. They'll face the darkness unafraid. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. The full moon rises, bat wings flap, The air grows cold, a chilling trap, but these lawmen, they're ready to fight. Underneath the pale moonlight, Jed and Doc transform with a howl. DA shifts, becomes a night owl. Together they stand, a force so strong against the evil right in the road. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless